Hey guys, welcome back. Today we're going to talk about how to level subcontractor bids based on our own takeoffs and estimates. As I've been pondering and pursuing YouTube and other resources, I'm not seeing a lot of content available for how to level bids. So hopefully this brings some value to you. This is how I level bids in my daily life, as well as how I've done it in previous lives. And so let's get started. Here we have a fairly standard bid leveling sheet for an American style project, meaning that we have lump sum values for line items. We don't have really quantities or unit rates, but we do have lump sum values for line items. So um, you'll notice here on the right, we have our own quantities, takeoffs, unit rates based on previous projects. And so for our purposes, we're calling this project Comet. We'll say that it's, a tower observatory in, I don't know, let's say Wyoming. And so we've reached out, we've got these contractor bids back. First thing we want to do is figure out what our totals are. We're not going to make decisions based off of totals, but they're going to help drive our decisions. And so for those of you that know me, you know that I love my subtotal functions. So we're going to start that here in our internal cost subtotal, open parenthesis, 9, whoops, sorry, comma, and then we're just going to highlight all those, close parenthesis, press enter. You'll notice that internal costs has a different font than all these other columns, and so we're going to circumvent that. So Control Copy. We're going to highlight all these and press Alt H V O, which pastes formulas. And then down here at the total, we're going to go back and press equals subtotal 9, comma, and we're going to highlight everything. Enter, and then Control Copy, same thing, Alt H V O, and then we don't need to check all of them, but we do want to check at least one of these, just make sure that it copied over. And then also while we're here, we're just gonna let's go to the subtotal row, press Enter Shift, and then Control B, and then same thing, Enter Shift, Control B. There we go. That looks nice and clean. All right, so let's get right into the project. So, oh, actually, sorry, last thing. As we are looking at these totals, we do want to keep track of where our percentages lie, and so let's go to the row before or below total, equals, and let's get the subcontractor total divided by our total. Enter. And I've already pre-populated these as percentage functions. If it's not a percentage function, all you got to do is go to the number tab here and press percentage style. And so we're going to highlight this F19 here in the formula tab or formula bar, and we're going to press F4. And so now it's $F, $19. And then now what we can do here is click this G20 cell and shift, and then press arrow to the right, and then Control R. And now each of our bids are compared to our bid, and so we know that contractor A is 50% of our bid, subcontractor B is 94%, meaning that they are 6% lower than our bid, and contractor C is 106% of our bid, meaning that they're 6% higher. And so right off the bat, let's say that this is a last minute decision, bids due in an hour or so. Contractor A probably missed, let's say, a scale on their takeoff. They are 50% too low, and so we're just going to go ahead and strike them out. That sounds harsh, but we don't really have a choice. They're clearly, people can get competitive, but that's just they miss something at 50%. So now it's between contractor B and contractor C. So let's get into this. So on our mass excavation, we have $510,000. Contractor B has $530,000, so they're pretty close to our number. Contractor C has $700,000, which is significantly higher than ours. Now, before we just go and write that off, let's keep looking here. We notice that we have a footing excavation of $120,000, and so we've got our mass excavation, which is the footprint of the building. Let's say that it's 6 feet deep. 7 feet deep, and then we have additional spot excavations for footings, and contractor C has included that in their total price. And so there's probably $120,000 or something like that um, included in the $700,000. And so we've got to watch out for that. You'll see it time to time, especially in American projects where you'll see stuff that's included. They'll have a note saying that certain items are included. We just want to write the word included here just so that we know that it's captured. And then as we go below, we know that gravel is excluded. So we've got $15,000 in gravel. Contractor B has $20,000, a little bit higher than ours. We'll allow it. And then now what we got to do is go to contractor C. In the allowance tab, we're going to put a line item for gravel. And so this is why we have our own takeoffs and estimates, or part of why. And we're just gonna take our gravel number as a kind of an allowance. And there we go. Now we've added $15,000 for their number. All right. Next thing, backfill, 30% compaction. As we look at our number, we see $137,000. Contractor C has $140,000. That's pretty close. Contractor B only has $105,000. Let's see. Oops, I kept my formula there. I apologize. But what we've noticed here is that contractor B more than likely has not accounted for a 30% compaction. Now this gets really tricky, especially in excavation, because compaction and swell is not necessarily always going to be found in a geotech report. You just kind of have to figure it out. And so our geotech report tells us that these soils are clays. They're very expansive. Kind of a norm for highly expansive clays is about 30%, maybe 24 to 30%. So what we're going to do here is we're going to just kind of pretend that these guys are 30%, that they're missing that 30% compaction. So we're just going to go here in allowances and put backfill. And we're going to go to their backfill number. So is that H9 times 0.3. And there we go. We've added in that 30% for them. Okay. Next thing we've got site cut. So this is, we're out of the building footprint. Now we're just kind of grading the overall site. We've got $144,000. Contractor C has the same thing as us, $144,000. Contractor B only has $130,000. Now, this does appear a little bit low. It could just be that they're really competitive. It could be that they've got some sort of method that keeps them competitive. At the end of the day, they're going to sign their bid, and it's not ridiculous, and so we're going to allow it. We've estimated, and also I should mention that unless we're calculating, production rates and crew rates and equipment, we can only really go off of subcontractor historicals unless we're performing our own excavation and earthwork. These guys are currently performing their own excavation and earthwork, and so they're much more tapped into unit rates. So something to keep in mind. Watch out for stuff that's a little bit lower than our estimate versus way too low. And so if this was, I would say if it was like $90,000, it'd be too low. They might have missed something, but $130,000, this feels just competitive, and so they're probably good. Before we choose a contractor, maybe we'll call them and just make sure to they double check their quantities and that they're comfortable with the number. Same thing with site fill. So we're at $123,000 for our estimate. Contractor C is $130,000. Contractor B is $90,000. That is a little bit lower. It's almost $30,000 lower than what we estimated. Probably worth giving them a call and just making sure they feel comfortable with that $90,000. But we're gonna allow it. And the last thing, they've excluded spoil export. And so we've got to include that. And something to keep in mind, if subcontractors have excluded things on their bids, we can't just put an allowance and call it good. We do have to make sure that somebody is able to pick up that work. And so hopefully we can just convince contractor B, contractor C to pick up their scopes they've excluded. If not, we've got to go and find another contractor to go and pick up that work. And so sometimes it's not the cheapest bid. Sometimes it's who's included the most stuff. so that we don't need to find a bunch of subcontractors for these random items. But for this purpose, let's just go ahead, add in our number for spoil export. And now we've got our final numbers here. So we're at $1.05 million. It looks like contractor B is 3% lower than what we estimated. That's pretty good. It's pretty close. And contractor C is 7% higher than what we estimated. I would say that's just outside of competitive. That's probably a little bit too high. Maybe they don't want this job. But contractor B, I would say, wins the project as long as we can get people to cover those allowed items. And that's all I've got today. Thank you so much.